never given me that ultimatum of like, quit your job or you're going to lose your family, then I would have never left.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Trevor, and you're watching The Next Course. It's a show about life's big transitions all over small bites and apps inspired by our guest. Speaking of our guest, we have someone that I am, again, honored to call a friend on this podcast. He's a former Marine. He was a police officer, and now he has a nonprofit called Frontline Strong, where he helps individuals who are in that program deal with the issues that they have and get them the help that they need that they might not regularly have access to. So honored to have you on, Antonio.
Appreciate it, bro.
Welcome, brother.
Appreciate it, man.
Dude.
Man, this food looks awesome, bro.
Good. I'm so glad. I'm very excited about that. So, before we get into everything crazy, man, again, I did make you food. Inspired by you, all the stuff. It's because you look like asada. No, I'm just playing, bro. No, bro. That's what it is, dude. Well, you know what? I saw an opportunity because I'm like, dude, like any opportunity that I have to make asada tacos, like, I'm going to take advantage of.
Love the way you say asada tacos.
You can tell where I'm from, right? It's like, asada. But dude, I'm so glad, man. So before we get into everything crazy, man, let's give these a shot.
Yeah.
Grab one, do what you got to do. I have to do a little bit of lime though because, well, you know.
Yeah. I got you. So do I, man.
You have to. You gotta get a good squeeze up in there. All right, let's give this a shot, man. Obligatory cheers on the back end. Back end, boom. All right, let's see. Well,
That's some good asada tacos.
decent. Okay. I'm glad I'm not being shamed right now. That's why I'm happy.
You know, it's funny. It's the first time I've ever eaten on a podcast.
You know what? This is the fifth time because sixth time. This is episode number 6, so I'm right there with you, dude. But that's the point, you know. Like everyone can bond over food, and who's gonna turn down our taco? You know what I mean? You gotta be crazy in this economy.
Yeah,
you gotta be crazy. Well, look, man. Before we get into the questions, right? Like obviously we talk about life's big transitions, how you got to where you were from, how you got there, right? What I do like to do is I like to open with a rapid fire food segment because this is how people judge you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. And I'm gonna come out swinging.
Go for it.
Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Oh yeah.
That quick, huh?
Hell yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Love it.
I'm so glad because I've had about 50-50 so far. Controversial. What is your go-to appetizer whenever you go to like a regular restaurant that like a chain restaurant? What's the go-to?
Of course. Chips and salsa, bro.
Okay. Yeah, that's a pretty safe one. I think no matter where you go, you can get it and you're like, okay, this isn't gonna be
Or
horrible.
chips and guac. It all depends too, because some places they'll have like not the real guac.
Yeah.
So it's
They got that weird dude.
artificial. I don't even know what it is.
Like how do you make artificial guac? It's crazy. And then my last question that I have for you, man, what was your favorite childhood snack? I gotta take a bite of these.
Man, childhood snack.
Yeah, and you see when you were a kid.
Wow. This is gonna sound stupid, but bacon and egg. And the reason I say bacon and egg is like a big thing at my grandma's house. When she made bacon like every morning, like everybody was just like by the stove waiting for their piece of bacon. So it was a big thing. So for me, I would have to say it's not a snack, but
no, I think
I'm just thinking about like my childhood, and really like the thing that comes up is like bacon and egg.
That's great, dude. That's the best part.
Yeah.
No, okay, but are you in like crispy bacon or soft bacon?
Crispy.
Thank God. Okay, I'm so glad you said that, man. We're about to end the podcast right now. All right, man. I'm glad, man, because some people like it floppy and it's weird to me.
I don't like that.
Yeah, so glad that we're on the same page with that, man. But the real reason we're here, man, you have such a cool story, man. You're very inspiring to a lot of people, and you have a lot that you've told me that, you know, I've been on your podcast before, that people need to hear and that has helped people, man. So what I like to do is I always like to ask you about where you were before, because your life, what did it look like for you before you made your transition out of Marine Corps, police department, things like that? What did your life look like before you made that transition?
Oh man. So one of the things that I've been doing a lot more now is I've been writing a lot more, right?
For sure.
I think we all have to find some type of outlet, and with that outlet has helped me really kind of look back at my life, where I was at, you know, when I was a cop, when I was a police officer, when I was in the Marines, or as a child. And I think one of the biggest things that I've realized is that I was running all that time. Like, so when you're asking me like where I was at prior to getting out, and I could say I was a prisoner, and I was getting kind of deep. But
No.
the thing about it is that it was yesterday. I've been trying to like really write about my suicide attempt when I got out of before I got out of law enforcement, and I have like 5 different poems that I've written, and I just can't hit the emotional like impact of what that did for me, how I felt that day. But overall, through the entirety of the scope of every single poem that I have written for it, I was a prisoner. So if you're asking me where I was at before all of this, I was a prisoner. My life so far, the last 4.5 years that I've been helping people and really talking about mental health and all of that, is that I have really come in touch with another side of me. And what I realized is that that other side of me is freedom, because we've encaged ourselves. One of the things for your viewers, our mind is one of the most powerfulest thing in the entire world. I mean, there hasn't been a true discovery of what our mind can truly do, right? There's still research being done on it. But the thing about it is that the thing that is the most powerful thing in the universe that's within us can be our own imprisonment. If we do not keep up with our mind will tell us what our reality is, what our lives truly look like. And if we never kind of go through the process of truly knowing what's going on or anything like, or truly freeing ourselves, then we will always view the world through the lens that our mind tells us to. So our mind gives us our own reality. But whenever you get past that and you find your freedom, it's when you create your own reality. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, actually.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think it would, but man, like that makes so much sense. And the crazy thing about that too, man, is that like I've said this, and this has been a recurring theme too. It's that we are always in our own way.
Yeah.
Right. Every single time. Right. I had an experience not too long ago, man, where like I was going through some stuff, and like I got super depressed, right, about all these things that weren't necessarily a reality, but it was my own reality that I created in my head. And so by doing that, man, it was just I put myself through my own living hell. And again, it was a very short stint. I'd gotten sick a few months ago, and I had some psychological stuff that was happening as a result of that, man. And I got into a super dark place. And because I did that, like it got to a point where I realized I had to have an external third party come and talk to me and be like, hey, like what you're seeing in your head is not reality, right? Well, that's not how everybody else perceives you. And by doing that, I had to take a step back, almost looking third person at myself and say, oh my God, like, you're right. I maybe it is me getting my own way. When you were in your prison that you were in, man, like, do you think it was the career and the environment that you were around that helped drive you to that point?
So let's unbox that a little bit more of what you just said.
Yeah.
The thing about it is that this prison that we hold for ourselves, there are no walls. There are no cages.
Yeah.
It's our mind, right? And it's this reality. I think this is the biggest thing, bro, when we talk about this, is that everything in life tells us to numb that emotion. When the things are coming up, let's numb it further. Let's put medication on it. Let's go drink. Let's go do all of these things, whatever, like that. So we might grow. We're growing. We're adults, whatever, like that. But our minds are adolescent, bro. We don't know how to process through an emotion. Like one of the biggest things is I was in this stage where I would react more than I would process. So I would have an emotion come up, and then I would act on it, and I wouldn't process, and I wouldn't be like, okay, what does this emotion really mean, right? So when you're asking me, like, the imprisonment felt like I was in my own hell. Like I felt like this was all my reality. Everybody was against me. Nobody knew what I was going through. Nobody really cared what I was going through. And what your mind does, it throws you into this isolation aspect where you're trying to push away everybody so that you can process this in your own way. But the process that you're doing is numbing, and it's not processing. It's just trying to surpass that emotion so that you won't feel it anymore. So how we can grow all we want. Like all of us can be out there, I'm a grown man, but like, dude, you have a mind of a 2-year-old. You don't understand how to process the emotions that you're going through. You go off and you yell, throw tantrums, do all of these things, whatever like that, like a kid.
Yeah.
Because we haven't learned how to process those emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. You know what the crazy thing is too? It's like it almost seems like it's essential to our being is to be able to process those things. That's one of the biggest obstacles that everyone faces. I know a lot of men specifically coming from these backgrounds like you and I have come through. We like it's a struggle, dude. It's a struggle, and no one knows how to process them for whatever reason. And everybody has their own story. Everyone has their reasons, their childhood that brought them to that point, right, where they may struggle, and they're like, I haven't seen another man like process emotions, or I haven't seen they haven't had it modeled for them or even been told, and it's something that I think it's missing, especially in today's culture.
I mean, we have, man. I get really so pissed off on the way that the system that we have in place right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from the Marine Corps to being a cop to helping cops out, trying to like help them get out of this way of thinking. Like we just had so for the app that we developed, we had a meeting with an agency. We'll name the agency, but you know we started talking about how much it was going to be for the application, how much it was going to be, and all stuff like that. So then they started writing the numbers and like, oh well, there's this and this, whatever like that, and they're like, oh well, we already have an app that already does somewhat. I'm like, you just lost several officers to suicide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You've had that app already in place for several years. I think you have to think about something different here.
It's not working.
It's not working.
Yeah.
And that's the whole concept is that we fall in this especially as law enforcement and in the military. It's like we want to be our own solutions, right? Like we don't want somebody else to come and look at us and say, hey, you're
right.
or you're doing this wrong. Why don't we give you this other one? Like, no, I got it. I got it. And but at the same time, we're seeing so many of our officers just commit suicide. That's the biggest thing for me, bro. It's like when we got started with Frontline Strong, we had the police department had one of the highest suicide rates in the entire country. And talking to those family members, talking to the loved ones, the spouses, everything like that, seeing the impact of that, and then you're still not doing anything to solve that problem.
Yeah.
Like it's one thing about, and that's one of the reasons why, like when I connected with you and I had you on the podcast.
Yeah.
That was one of the reasons why you left.
Yeah, it was.
And that's the biggest thing is like, what have we done different? What have we done different to give our guys more assistance and actually show them that we give a. And like I hate that we go through this spill throughout the year. We lose officers. We post their pictures up. We say, hey, you know, we know somebody, reach out to them. We do all these things, which is good. It's good. I understand. Like, we have to do that. But then all of a sudden it becomes a lost memory. Or all of a sudden it becomes something like, oh, well, yeah, but nothing was done to solve that problem. Let's get off our asses and let's look at the issue and actually solve the problem. And not look at it through the lens of like, oh, this is only how far we can go. No, let's get past that and try to find a different way of solving these issues, man.
Why wouldn't you get better if you could? Why would you?
I don't understand that.
That's crazy.
I don't understand that. Like, okay, you see it's not working.
Yeah.
You see it's not working.
Yeah.
Let's try something different, right?
There's a lot of guys who have a mentality. It's almost a good old boy mentality where it's like, well, you know, this is why do you do things this way? Well, it's always been done this way. It's like, yeah, but well, yeah, we also used to ride horses everywhere, and that obviously wasn't the quickest way. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's to me, man, like I look at how many of our guys are just hurting, bro. And I talk to a lot of them. I talk to on Instagram, on TikTok, whatever, like through our podcast as well. I talk to all these officers, and it's like, why can't they see we are hurting out here, bro? Like, why? And I was like, bro, they see it. Yeah. But they're just trying to look away because of the bureaucracy or because all of these other things, whatever like that. But what is a life really worth? Yeah. You know, like, are you telling me that because you've been doing this for the same way for the last 15, 20 years, however many years you want to look at it, a life is not worth you changing, bro?
Isn't that crazy?
Like, you need to. Yeah. And I'm sorry if I'm like, no. The thing about it is I just talked to this police officer's wife who lost her husband, not to suicide, but to a barricaded suspect in Austin. And we talked for about an hour, and she was just like, man, we are talking to these guys every single day. She started a nonprofit that basically provides training for officers. Beautiful lady, inside and out, bro. She's just so passionate about like her husband and keeping her husband, name going. And she's like, so many of these guys are just hurting.
Yeah.
They were just hurting, and it's just like, you look at the departments, and they're just like, we're giving them the resources, we're giving them this, we're giving them that, but you got to look at how many people are utilizing those resources. How many of those people are actually reaching out and getting help? If it's, at 10%, 15%, no, bro, we wanted to be at 60. We wanted to be at 50. Set that. We shouldn't look at the bare minimum of like 10 or 5%, whatever like that.
The bare minimum is never enough.
Never.
Is it ever enough in a PT test if you're going out for a selection for a unit or whatever? Like that's the minimum is not enough there, so why would it be enough here when it comes to actually saving people's lives?
Yeah.
It's crazy. For you, I one of my good buddies told me, you're best fit to serve the person that you once were. Right. And I wholeheartedly believe that. Which is why I started this podcast, right? Because I'm like, look, I was once this person and I got to this point, right?
Yeah.
Whenever you were in your previous life, before you started this and before you recognized the need to this, did you ever think that you would leave that?
No.
No?
No. I had this conversation earlier with one of my really good friends, and she was asking me about it, and I'm like, I would have never left. If my wife would have never given me that ultimatum of like, quit your job or you're going to lose your family, then I would have never left. And the thing about it is that I attempted suicide a year prior to that. And my wife didn't know anything about it. She didn't know anything about it. But the thing about it is that there's this whole thing about how we hold our masks, right? A lot of us hold our mask really fucking tight to our head. Yeah. Really, really tight so nobody can see. But once you can't hold that mask to your face and you're starting to show the cracks in your armor, you're starting to show your broken self that you really have. And like my wife, like she is literally like my when I say this, and I don't mean this because I know Jesus Christ is my savior, but my wife saved me in so many other ways, gave me a different perspective of myself, gave me all of this, whatever like that. But when she told me that, it was an internal reflection of myself, like, fuck, she sees you, bro. She sees you. You're not holding this mask tight anymore. She sees you, and what are you gonna do? Yeah. Like the cat's out of the bag, bro. Yeah. Like she sees everything.
What's the point of keeping the facade up?
So I quit, and then I went and started getting help. But if she would have never given me that ultimatum, I would have never left. Then I would have probably become a statistic. I mean, so many of us. I think there's so many of us that are just barely effing holding on.
Dude, yeah.
Barely holding on. And the thing about it is that I asked this to one of my friends. We're barely hanging on, right? But what are we hanging on to? And I was like, oh, man, dude, that sounds like you want to commit suicide. Or you're telling me, like, no. It's not that. It's like, what are you holding on to? Are you living or are you just surviving? And a lot of us, we just survive. And there's nothing bad against that. But the thing about it is how does it impact your family? I think the biggest thing about having to like do internal reflections and like really, really see what I was doing before, the connection that I had with my family, I had none. I think I told you about this. I know I'm kind of jumping everywhere.
No.
But I was at church one time with my family, and it always still gets me. I had my beautiful family right next to me, and I had my wife, everything like that. And then there was this lady next to us, and she was praising God, had her hands wide open. And you can see it in her face that whatever she was feeling, like she believed it, right? Like it was to her effing core. And here I am with my family, the most sacred bond that you could have with anybody. They're part of my genes, bro. Absolutely. Like, and I felt nothing. No connection. No connection to my kids. No connection to my wife. It was all superficial. It was all at surface. It was all, hey, you are my kids, you are my wife, here I am, hug you, love you, I'll protect you, all of this stuff. Internally, I didn't feel that, and that scared me. Because I'm like, bro, like, they're part of my DNA. And I can't feel connected to that. What does that tell you, bro? That I went so far left away from processing anything, and it made me feel so separated from everything around me. It scared me, bro. It really did, because I'm like, if I can't get connection with these people that love me, and for many reasons, I was like, why the do you love me? Like, why do you care so much about me? I had no self-worth, I had all that. And it scared me so much that I was like, I need to do something to solve this problem. And I've been at this for like 6-7 years, man, trying to like be the person that they deserve, be the father that they deserve, be the husband that my wife deserves. And so many of us are so scared of doing that, because it's work, bro. It's work.
And the thing is, I think that people struggle with doing that because that's something that's hard to quantify, right? You look at a tax, you look at a tax statement and you're like, oh yeah, you can quantify that and say, oh, you could try and measure success by that yardstick and say, oh, I make X amount of money per year, I make this, right? And you focus on these things, but when you hold all of your self-worth in something like that can crumble and fall apart, then what do you have, right? You have nothing. When you put your faith and you put all of your efforts and just your identity and stuff that can fall apart and can be taken away from you, that's the thing that is an eye-opener that not a lot of us think of. And you getting to that spot, man, isn't it always funny how like we always have to hit like the worst low possible before we can pivot? It's never at the top when you're like, man, this would be like, oh, man, I got to make a change. Let me do it before. It's like, no, man, it's always at the bottom.
So the bottom is the best place to be at, man. Well, when I say the best place to be at, is the best part to start off.
There you go.
Because there is nothing but up, right? And the thing about it is that it's a process. I'm not gonna say and sugarcoat anything. Like, man, it took me I've been 2.5 years sober. It took me 2.5 years ago for me to actually take a different step into that. Because as much as I was working on myself, I was still numbing myself with alcohol. And that's the thing, though. Like, the alcohol is not the issue, right? The substance is not the issue. It's your relationship with it. Is why are you utilizing it for? Are you utilizing it to numb yourself further? Then your relationship with that substance is not good.
Absolutely.
And I can never go back to alcohol, because I understand what it does to me, and what it's going to do to me is it's basically not work extra hard to be able to get where I want to be, because now I have something that can numb me. And you know what? I don't have to do that extra stuff. I don't have to go to therapy. I don't have to continue to write. I don't have to use all these things. I'm just going to use this right here so I can numb myself, and I don't have to process through any of these emotions. It's an easy way out, bro. It's a something that really, in many ways, it's killing so many of our guys, because not physically, internally, it's killing them, because they don't know how to process through the emotions. It's exactly what what I said at the beginning. You're growing as a man, but you're a child in your mind, because you don't know how to process those emotions.
Isn't it weird the moment you become aware of that too?
Bro, the day that I got aware of that, it was it felt as if I had been lied to so many years, bro. And the thing about it is that when you think about how you've been looking at your life for so many years, and then all of a sudden now you find yourself in a place of awareness and understanding, there is a little bit of sadness to, I have been living this life for so many years, and like, I've wasted time. But the thing about it, bro, is that anything, and I'll tell this to all the people that are watching, to you, anything beautiful and great in life will have its ups and it will have its downs, and anything beautiful in life is going to be effing hard. God didn't tell us that we're going to have it easy. He's going to tell us there's going to be struggle in this, but it's what you do with those struggles that will make you a person that you want to be, right? Like, it's going to bring out another person inside of you that he really put inside of you. But man, dude, it's just like, so much of the world tells us how to live our lives, right? And they show us like, hey, this is how our lives are supposed to be. But then we don't live the life that God intended us to have, right? So then we live somebody else's truth,
Mm-hmm.
not the actual truth.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does make a lot of sense. And, you know, I think we all end up there at some point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We all end up being this person that we like, this isn't me, but it's almost like, well, I'm in too deep now and I've committed, so I'm just going to continue to be this person, even though that, you know, like, this isn't something that can be housed on. This foundation isn't there, you know? What you did, man, like, as you recognized where you were at and you recognized what you were meant to do, because, like, dude, this is what you were meant to do. You were clearly meant to help people, and you're serving the person that you once were, right?
Mhm.
You absolutely were, because you were there, and those are the best people to serve for you. What were some of the skills, I guess, what were some of the struggles early on that you had faced whenever you started to say, like, hey, man, this isn't, like, there's a need for this. Like, I need to do something. What were some of those struggles, dude?
Bro, I don't know if we have enough time, but
Oh, no, we have plenty of time.
I would actually love to read the poem that I wrote.
I would love it.
Because that paints the picture of the question that you just asked. 2 weeks ago, I wrote this, and it was actually after therapy.
Mm.
And I started really thinking about my life prior to doing what I'm doing now.
Mm.
And there's a process through all this, right?
Sure.
And once I read this, you'll better understand.
Okay.
But the poem is called Forged in Fire. I was 20 when I learned the weight of a rifle, the sounds of footsteps on foreign soil, the way death lingers in the air, thick and silent. I saw life slip away in a space of a breath, and I wondered if purpose was just another word for surviving what others couldn't. Later, I traded that desert for city streets, a badge in place of a uniform. But the ghosts followed, shadows stretching long under streetlights, faces blurred in the rear view. I carried their stories, the ones no one wanted to hear, the ones that made sleep feel like a war of its own. Pain carves deep, but if you let it, it shows you what's underneath the flesh, what you were made of all along. Purpose isn't found in quiet places, not in the absence of struggle, but in the fire, in the breaking in the nights that hollow you out, until all that's left is what was true from the start. I thought I was made for war. I thought I was made to protect. But maybe, just maybe, I was made to understand pain, to sit with it, to learn its language, so I could guide others through the dark. God never promised easy. He never promised clear roads or light burdens. He promised purpose, woven through every scar, written in the losses, the grief, the doubt, a story unfolding in the hands of the one who never wastes pain. And maybe that's what life is. Not answers, not clarity, but the willingness to keep walking, trusting that every step, every wound is shaping you into the man you were meant to be.
That was beautiful. That was amazing. And you know what's crazy is that, like, I've never been a poetry guy, but every poem that I've heard that you have delivered, whether it's on camera or your podcast, to me, dude, like, it resonates, because you can tell, like, this is real.
Yeah.
This isn't some story tale, you know, this isn't a fairy tale, this isn't a story, you cannot experience and understand what the things that you're talking about until you've gone through them.
Yeah.
And that was beautiful, man. Thank you.
That poem right there was not just my story. It was so many of us, man.
Yeah.
So many of us.
Yeah.
I mean, I've sat across from so many people on the podcast, heard their stories. And there's so many of us that are there, right? There's so many of us. The thing about it is that I always say that my poems are dumb man's poems, because they're straight to the point, bro.
I love that.
There is
No
no
fluff.
There's no fluff. There's no, like, I wonder what he means by that. It's just straight to the point.
And you know what the best part about that is too, man? Like, you ever go to look up a recipe on, like, Instagram, and they have, like, oh, well, this, you know, this dish originated here. Like, it gives you a whole backstory. I'm like, don't give me straight to the point. And that's what your poems do. So I appreciate it. If you ever decide to make recipes, you let me know. I use them every single time. But dude,
So with what I was trying to tell you is that through the process of, like, everything and the things that I endured, all of these things were like that. To the question that you asked, like, at the beginning it was a struggle accepting that truth, right?
Mhm.
I felt that I was made to be a Marine. I felt that I was made to be a cop. I felt that I was made to be this instrument to protect.
Mm-hmm.
When I got out of law enforcement, you strip all of that away and it's like, who the hell am I?
Right.
You know, I became a stay-home dad, and I was here home with I had the privilege to have my children with me, but I couldn't enjoy them because I was still like, who the F am I?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm giving myself this opportunity to spend time with my family, the thing that I've wanted it to for so many years, but I have the opportunity now and I can't enjoy it because I'm still trying to figure out who the hell I am.
Mm-hmm.
But it's crazy how things end up where they are, because I was never an advocate for therapy. I would push away so far away from it. My wife would bring it up to me like, hey, you need to do therapy, you need to do this, you need to go talk about it. I'm just like, F that, man.
Yeah.
That is the worst thing I can do, because what, now I'm gonna unbox all these things that I have? How am I gonna put them all back in my pack?
Mm-hmm.
How am I gonna put all that back in the box?
Mm-hmm.
Now everything is out in the open. You can see all of my wounds. I am so naked here. How the hell am I gonna do that?
It's like trying to put the toothpaste back in the toothpaste jar, man. You can't do it. It's impossible. And now it's everywhere. And now not only does it affect you, but it affects the people around you.
Yeah.
So the only place that you have to go is when you hit that bottom is up, right? And you're like, okay, well now I have these things are out in the open. What do I do about them? And that's what makes people who they are.
And the thing is that once I started sharing my poems with other people,
Mm-hmm.
and they started talking to me, and they're like, bro, how are you in my head right now?
Mm-hmm.
How are you in my head? And I started realizing, I'm like, bro, one of the things that we as men suck at is voicing what we feel.
Mm-hmm.
We suck at it, bro. Like we're not. I was a huge. I was big on not really truly telling you what I was going through, right?
Yeah. You always hit him with the, yeah, how are you? Yeah, I'm fine.
I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, great. But now it's like, I can't stop it, bro. Like, and this is the thing. It's like, I can look at a guy that I just barely met,
Mm-hmm.
look at his eyes, and I know what he's going through. Mm-hmm. Your friend, the day that we met, I met your friend, your business partner.
Yeah, Andy.
Bro, how was that conversation, man?
It was phenomenal.
Bro, it was what, an hour and a half? I barely met this dude, and here we are bawling at chicken and pickle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And that's the thing, though, is when you give somebody that space to be vulnerable, bro, it's like, I hate the whole concept of safe space. I think it's whatever. But the thing about it is that there's so much truth to that.
There is.
If you give somebody the ability to feel comfortable and feel safe in sharing these intimate moments that they have inside of them that have scarred them, and they're able to feel safe doing that, bro, they feel, for one, the biggest thing is they feel heard, and they feel like they're not the only one. And that's the biggest thing, is like a lot of our guys, they feel like the only ones that are going through this.
The power of vulnerability is so strong. It's so incredible, man. And like, because you don't realize it, you go into it thinking, okay, I'm going to be vulnerable. I might appear to be the one who's weak and like have all these issues, but what you don't realize is you probably just disarm that other person, because they're like, I see a lot of what I'm going through in that person across the table.
Yeah.
It's crazy how it works.
It's funny that me and you were sitting on this table. Vulnerability was a conversation that sparked our podcast.
It was.
Vulnerability. One post that you did about vulnerability. I'm a big advocate for vulnerability, bro, because there are so many layers to us as men, but we try to just put out this side of like, I am this macho dude, blah blah blah, I'm a cop, I'm a SWAT dude, blah, blah, all this, whatever like that. I'm just gonna show that side of you, but I'm not gonna show you the other side, because that is too much exposure of who I am. Right. And now what are you gonna do with that? Which in many ways, bro, there's so many reasons why they do that, because I'm pretty sure they've done that before with somebody and it's backfired on them. So they just like, they put up the walls and it's like, F that.
I'm never want to feel that way again.
Never gonna feel that way again. Where I am here naked telling you all this stuff and you just on me. And I am not gonna do that anymore.
Nope. It's a terrible feeling to be on the receiving end of that, dude.
Yeah.
I hate it. We're getting better.
No,
right?
we are.
Time is going on. We're getting better, but I mean, there's still so much of that embedded into cultures of places like that, right? Military, law enforcement, first responder. Like, that's just what it is, right? And I've talked about it before, and like the way I say it, I'm like, dude, like, you know, you go into work one day, right? And you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna go and deal with this disturbance, and I'm gonna go deal with, someone's dead child, and then I have to go and I have to eat lunch, so now I just have to go and grab some tacos after I just dealt with that. No time to unpack, right? So you're like, well, that's crazy. Anyway, hey, this call's holding, so you got to go and handle them. That's not that, like, dude, that doesn't work. It doesn't work.
The whole notion that our guys are supposed to handle the death of a child, murder suspect, whatever, then all of a sudden it's some old lady can't get it, whatever. All of this all in one day, and then have a normal life. It's ass backwards, bro. Like, what are you thinking? These guys are robots?
Yeah.
These guys are just going to be able to, like, process when you're not giving them the right tools to process anything?
Exactly.
So why do you think that the suicide rate for police officers right now, I think right now we're at the beginning of the year, we're at 28, bro. We're already at 28 nationwide. You don't see the problem of what your one-way thinking is doing to these guys? The number of police officers committing suicide, the number of people actually wanting to be a cop.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
Turning a blind eye to it.
What type of community are you creating? What type of environment are you giving your guys?
Well, I'm sure this might have been the same way with you, but dude, like whenever you go through the academy, right? Everyone's drinking the Kool-Aid, like, oh, the big blue line, brother, sheepdog. It's like, okay, yeah, no, like, that's not what this is, right? They sell you this idea that, like, oh, like, no one leaves this job. Like, oh, we retire out of here, we stick together, and we hang out. Okay, yeah, cool, but, like, just drop it for a minute,
Yeah.
Because that's not the way things actually are, and especially when you're dealing with these things in the environment, that attitude towards the career, all this stuff, it kind of builds you up to be this, oh, I'm invincible. Like, we're all good as long as we have each other. It's like, no. Like, and in fact, all of you were actually kind of,
So let's unpack that a little bit more.
Yeah.
You're talking about a police officer coming into the academy as a cop. What's the population of these officers being veterans? So you have that baggage. How many of these officers or these veterans had a childhood?
Yeah.
So you have child trauma. You have this whole concept of shutting up and not saying anything of what you were feeling, especially in the Hispanic population. Big one on us. It's like you don't talk about your emotions. You just shove them down and you just keep pushing forward. So here I was as a Hispanic doing the same thing, going into the military, learn the same concept, another reinforced training that of what my childhood taught me. Go into the military, learn that. Went into law enforcement. Hey, we do that here too. Boom, that's another thing. So what do you think happens whenever you're faced with something like that? Yeah. You go back to your training. You default back to your training from even when you were an effing child, bro. So it's like, of course our guys are going to find every different way of, like, coping that doesn't have to process. And that is what we have.
Absolutely. When you're breaking that cycle, and you talk about breaking that cycle, starting over, it's almost like you're starting as a new person. What do you think the hardest part about starting over is?
The first day.
Yeah.
The first day.
Yeah.
The thing about it is that being honest with yourself, that is one of the biggest things. Honesty is the first key to anything. We could all go through the process, right? Like, initially when I started going to therapy, I went through the process. I went through the motions just so that my wife can see that I was doing something, right? Was I 100% behind it? F no.
Yeah.
I was just going through the process. It wasn't until one day, man, my therapist asked me, well, how'd you feel about this? How'd you feel about losing those guys in Iraq? How'd you feel about, being that IED? How'd you feel about all of this? How'd you feel about this? And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Then she asked me, when was the last time your mom told you she loved you?
Oh.
And I couldn't even keep it in, bro.
Ooh.
Bro, I bawled like crazy. And I knew right when she said that is I wasn't being honest. All of those other things, like all these other things that were bothering me, when they're like that, yeah, they were at surface, they were an issue. But the root of what it was something that I was running away from for so long. I was running away from my childhood. And that was the one area that I was so protective of for her not to go. And once she hid in that area, I was like, bro, I'm naked.
You know what's crazy about that too is that you probably spent so much energy and time trying to be like, no, childhood was great, whatever. She still saw through it.
Yeah. She still saw through it. It's like she saw all of these areas and they're like, okay, he's still hurting here, but that's not the area. He's still hurting here. Of course, I hurt because we lost so many guys in Iraq. I'm hurt because of all of this other stuff, but like it was something that was on top of it. But the root was my childhood. Right? So all of these other things, yeah, they played a factor, but I needed to get to the root of that issue, which was me feeling not loved, me feeling pushed away, me feeling all of these things from my childhood. That was the problem.
We talk about childhoods too. Isn't it funny how like all of us who are broken or had something crazy happen in our childhood where we were broken as a kid, we all gravitate towards these careers
because we want to be protectors.
We want to make sure that no one goes through the same pain that we went through.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Isn't that crazy how that works? So you go into a career field or you join this organization where you're helping people, but you're like, you can help everybody except for yourself.
Man.
Isn't that crazy?
That I wrote another poem. It's called Unkept Mind, and that what it was about. All our guys go around protecting everybody else, helping everybody else, but they're the ones that need the most help.
Yeah.
And it's like internally they know that they are the There's a big thing here, bro. Like I sent it to you as a poem about being a victim. I remember the first time my therapist told me that I was a victim. I'm like, bro, I am not a victim, bro. I've helped people. Yeah. I have helped victims. Yeah. I am not a victim. Yeah. But when she broke it down further, and then I realized that I was a victim. And sometimes we're a victim of our own mind, our own unkept mind. We are a victim of it because our mind will tell us our own reality. Our mind will tell us our truth, and we start living it, even if that is not the reality that really is. It's just our mind going to the safe space of. And that's the crazy thing. I'm sorry, bro. I have all these things in my head. There's this whole concept of like why our mind goes negative instead of going positive. And I was having this conversation with my psychiatrist friend, and I was telling him, he's like, those are safe mechanisms that our body does. Basically what it is our mind will go to the negative, so we're always alert. We're always like up, we're always holding ourselves to like so that we won't die. So that's why our mind goes to the negative. Survival. But the thing about it is that if you don't keep up with your mind, that survival mode will become your reality, and you're always living in this survival stage. You're not living, you're just surviving because your mind is going on autopilot and it's living in survival. You're not living you're not actually living.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes 100% sense, man, because you're so it's almost it's a parallel between like a scarcity mindset and an abundance mindset.
Yes.
Right. There's parallels. It's not identical.
No, I know exactly.
You understand what I'm talking about, right? People always look and they're like, okay, well, I'm just trying to survive. So you hoard and you don't realize like, hey, like if I actually take what I have and I'm generous with it, or I do these things with it, like it might actually grow.
It might come back to you.
Come back to you
in other different ways.
Exactly. Maybe not even necessarily monetarily, but it doesn't matter. Like it all comes back to you in some way or form, man. Was there ever a moment when you started and realized that I need to help these people, when you started on this journey, starting Frontline Strong, getting healthy, was there ever a moment when you thought, damn, I screwed up. I should just go back?
Man, I've had that conversation so much with myself. Like I've started over and over thinking if I should go back. I actually, when this whole thing started happening with, all the illegals coming in, I actually looked at going to Border Patrol.
Did you?
Yeah. I mean, I've always felt like I am still a tool that's not being used, right? Like I feel like I should still be out there helping. But then I say that, and then I talk to officers that we've helped out, officers that we've helped through our program, or just having a conversation with an officer and giving them a different perspective. Done an interview, and all of a sudden we get all this information on, all this feedback on like, hey, thank you for saying that. That really helped me out. And it goes back to the poem that I said.
Yeah.
Maybe I went through all of that because I'm supposed to be where I am now.
I can guarantee you are where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because you've helped me, you've helped my friends, and you've helped people that you're never even going to meet. And that's the craziest part about it, is that you've done so much, and the stuff that you're doing has such an impact that it's so grand that you might not even see it.
Yeah.
You know? And it's so special, dude. Like what you've done, and the way that you've been able to do it, like I said, because you could have been a statistic. We all could have been a statistic. But the fact that you ended up where you're at now is so good. And coming from those worlds that you were in, right? Military, law enforcement, right? There was a lot of negative stuff that we had to deal with, but there was also some skills that probably helped you navigate through this road and getting to where you are now. What were some of those skills that helped you navigate that?
Interviews.
Really?
I loved it. I love doing interviews, man. I was really good
Really?
at that. A lot of I used to get a lot of snitches.
Mm-hmm.
I was really good at interviewing, and the reason why that was is I never looked at that person as much as he was a dirtbag. I never made him feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
Thing about it is that we're all human, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would tell them when I was sitting in front of a suspect, I would always tell them the same thing. I could have been sitting where you're sitting at right now.
Mm-hmm.
I could have taken a left instead of taking a right. I could have been sitting there. There's some cases that I would have not done.
Yeah.
They're like, you know, there's
like, all right, maybe not.
Yeah, I would have not been there. But like, there's certain things that like I'm like, you know, I could have made those wrong choices too, right?
Yeah.
So I always gave them that human interaction where they felt human. A lot of the times we look at our guys and we're just looking at them as a suspect, dirtbag, all of that. It's hard for them to have for them to say that they've had a connection with a police officer, because in their heads they're just like always it's always negative, whatever like that. It all depends on what neighborhoods they're coming from as
100%.
well. But the thing about it, interviewing was a big thing. And the thing about it is when I talk to people, not just the podcast, but when I talk to people, I always make them know they are the most important thing right in front of me right now. So they know that whatever I am telling them is heartfelt and I am invested in this conversation. Mm-hmm. That to me is something that makes that other individual feel as if they're being heard and they're not alone.
One of the things that I recently read was every man is superior to you in some way or another. Every single one.
Yeah.
Right. So whether it's the person you just arrested or whether you're talking to a CEO of a billionaire, Fortune 500 company, every man is superior to you in some way. And once you begin to accept that, you begin to treat more people with respect. And it sounds like that's a lot of what you've done, which is it's special, man. Because again, we've all known cops or whoever who are like, you see it this way, and obviously it happens, right? When you come out like you're trying to be this person and whatever, and there's this shield up because you've never done it before, and like I get it, you're in survival mode again. But again, when you're vulnerable and you tell someone like, "Hey man, I'm not any better than you. I'm not here to hurt you," like like that takes so many people, like so much thunder away from people.
Oh hell yeah! Like, you know what's crazy is I say interviewing. My first interview was a capital murder investigation that we did with a prisoner who had murdered his cellmate with a motor, and he murdered him because he was homosexual.
Really?
So my first interview was that, and sitting to this guy who was already serving a life sentence for murder. He had killed 3 people, whatever like that.
Yeah.
And now here he was in front of me. He had just bashed this guy's head in with a motor. And everything. And this is the part, bro. He had murdered him, laid him in his bunk, put a white sheet over him, and then ate food on top of him.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Then he went and knocked on the cell door and told one of the inmates to go downstairs and go tell the correctional officer to come up and get this guy out of here because he stinks.
That's crazy.
So my first murder scene was that. And so sitting down, I remember my FTO told me, he's like, hey, when you approach this, don't judge him at all. Don't judge him. Sit there. We're going to bullshit with him. We're going to talk to him. We're going to make him feel safe. We're going to make him all of this. All of that, dude. We did all of that. We sat in there with him, bullshit with him for like 6.5 hours, got him going, and then sure enough, he gave it up. He gave up why he killed him.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So that to me always taught me, it's like, hey, don't judge these guys, man. Yeah, they did something that was effed up. They hurt some people. They did some stuff that's nasty, but
still human.
But they're still human. But what are you trying to get? You can't get to the goal if you are shitting on them, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to play the process, bro, in a way that makes them feel like you have compassion for them. You have all of empathy, all of these things where that gets you closer to the goal, right?
Yes.
So
Honey always gets you further with
yeah,
vinegar.
yeah.
Like, why would you? Why would you not? Why would you try to attract anything with vinegar, right? When you started out, man, like when you started Frontline Strong, when you saw this need and you started going like early on, what were some of the struggles that you faced that you were like, man, like I didn't expect that coming? What were some of the things that hit you that you're like, I didn't see that?
Well, man, when we started, bro, like I can tell you, like I told you, we started when we had a problem here in San Antonio, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, all we needed to do was open the door, and these guys came in.
Mm-hmm.
So really, at the end of the day, fundraising was always a big thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Raising funds. Uh, Getting the trust of the officers was of course a big thing.
It's a big
huge,
obstacle.
huge obstacle.
Yeah.
But I think a way that I got past that and I got their trust is just being vulnerable and being genuine with what we were doing, and that kind of got us in the door with a lot of the officers. Um, it's been a journey, bro. Like it's we've helped 300 plus of individuals with free therapy so far. We're starting to now provide art lessons. We have this event coming up on May 30th.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to provide art lessons for children for free. And that's another thing. Is like art. I mean, as you saw, like my poetry. It's to me, it's a big escape for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually part of a big part of my recovery has been writing. So I think that giving our guys or giving their kids an outlet like art is big to help them utilize the tools that they're learning in therapy and harness that into a craft that they can be able to like put let out a lot of their emotions and put it on the canvas.
Because no one realizes that you can do that with art.
And that's the big thing is like we limit ourselves, bro. Like I said, like I'm a Marine, I'm a cop, and then like you're talking to me about writing. Like I remember the first time that I my therapist was like, "Hey, you should start writing your journals and blah blah blah." And I was like, "All right, cool, whatever." But then I got really into it, and then I would read them to her, and she was like, "Yeah, these are poetry. Like, have you ever thought about writing?" It's like, bro, I'm a Marine. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah. We don't write poetry.
I shoot things. Yeah.
We eat crayons and all this. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, we don't do this, but bro, like, it really was a big thing for me, bro. Like, it really helped me a lot. And like, right now, I'm writing like my third book, and this one, bro, like I really am putting a lot of heart behind this, and it's like I write the poem, and then it has an author's reflection with it. So basically, I'll tell you where I was at when I was writing that poem.
Oh, that's cool.
Like, hey, I wrote this because of this, and this, and I'll go for a while talking about like why I wrote. So it gives it more light into those words.
Give you context. Did you wish sometimes like musicians would do the same thing? You're like, oh, I think this song is about this, and then you talk to someone else, you're like, no, I don't think so. It's about something else. I love that you do that. Like that's phenomenal.
Well, that's actually what we do in the podcast. So when I read the poem to you, and afterwards I tell you, oh, I wrote this poem because blah blah blah, and I'm like, why don't I just grab that concept and I put it into a book?
Hell yeah!
You know what I'm saying? So,
that's amazing. I do. That's such a good idea, and that's why it's successful.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Like either way, success is measured whichever way you want to look at it, right? Like I look at it as by how many people maybe view their world a little bit different, right? Sure. Or maybe they view recovery maybe something that's possible.
Sure.
You get what I'm saying?
No, I'm tracking.
Yeah, I see recovery not just as like what it how many books I sell or I have one of my business partners for the app that he told me a couple of times like you have this problem with money, like you have this problem with money, and I'm like, it's not that I have a problem with money, it's that I know my mission and I know my purpose, and money is not it. Like that's not what I've been made for. I know that money fuels the mission, and I know that money's gonna like help us get there, but that's not my main focus. My main focus is giving our guys a different view of what recovery could look like, right? Or that is my mission. My mission is to be able to have a guy, and this is the thing, like, and I know I'm going everywhere, but I have this, and it's something that I'm working on right now. I have a fleeting happiness is a fleeting feeling for me. Happiness is something that is short-lived for me. And I talked to this to my therapist, and I was like, I understand what anger, I understand what pain, I understand what all these things is. And she's like, the reason why that is your body understands that. So when anger, when pain, when sadness comes in, depression, all of these things come in, your body reacts to it right away because it already knows it. Because you haven't been happy for a long time, your body needs to understand how your body will react to happiness. So once happiness comes, your body understands, and it's like, oh, this is happiness. And that way it can stay longer.
Yeah.
So you have to get your body adjusted to being happy.
Almost like working out.
Exactly like that, man.
No one thinks you have to work out your ability to process feelings and emotions. What do you think is the biggest lesson that you've learned from taking this leap of faith and starting to help other guys?
Biggest thing I've learned is that everybody has their own journey, man. And let me elaborate on what I mean.
Please.
So everybody has their own journey, right? Somebody might not accept it. Like I wanted to save everybody, bro. Like I wanted to save everybody. I wanted everybody to like come and I'm gonna save you, I'm gonna help you, I'm gonna save you. But sometimes guys aren't ready to be saved, bro. Yeah. Sometimes guys are not ready for that. And that was the hard part for me, is accepting that. I wanted them to be ready for it. I want to be like, bro, I've got this gift that was like given to me, and I want you to have it. I want you to be able to feel that, to know how to feel love and feel how to compassion, all these other things that we have ran away from for so long. I went to, and the reason I went to this program is because of you, and you told me you went to that retreat.
Yeah.
So I went to the Travis Mills Foundation, bro. Such a beautiful program, bro. It was 7 days. It was probably the most I have ever cried in a short amount in a week.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest things is that sitting there with these guys, man, and talking to them, there was so much that I knew that I still needed to let go. There was so much that I needed to get past, right? And a lot of it was that I had so much shame in me for the choices that I made, the hurt that I did for my loved ones, for my wife, for my kids, all of that. So when I went to this retreat, which I highly recommend your guys, if they're looking for something to really, really get to the root, Warrior's Path is amazing, man. I remember the first time that the first exercise that really got us, and this is the thing that a lot of us have issue with. Do you love yourself?
I tell myself I do.
But do you really love yourself?
Exactly. Never. I
remember they made us write these affirmation statements about us. And they were like, we're going to write these affirmation statements about ourselves. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. They're like, all right, you got them? I was like, yeah. Go to the mirror and say them. Bro, all of us. I stood at that mirror for probably 10, 15 minutes. And I couldn't even look at myself. Because for one is I was like, you're lying. You can't say these things because it's not true. You can't say you're this, and this, or you love this about yourself because it's bullshit. So what's the biggest issue? We don't love ourselves, bro. That's the biggest thing is we get to this point, and I know it's all like kumbaya bullshit, whatever like that. Y'all might feel that is, but it's the truth. How can you love somebody if you don't love the person in front of you? If you don't love the person in the mirror, how can you truly love somebody?
You know what, dude? Like, it's so crazy you say that, because for me, whenever I was at that program, one of the things I had to do is I didn't realize that I had never forgiven myself from when I was a kid. And one of the hardest things that I had ever had to do was write a note to myself, forgiving myself. And I'm alone, dude. So like I start writing it or whatever. And the same thing, I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever, right? Like I'll start writing it. Dude, I've lost it. I'm like, why can't I write this? Why can't I forgive myself? And then I spoke to a therapist, and they were like, okay, these feelings that you're saying about yourself, I want you to picture your kids saying that to you, and what would you tell them? And that's when I lost it. I was like, oh my God, like, okay, like, I get it. That got me, like, because then I just pictured my kids saying that. And I'm like, dude, like, I can't, if my kid ever came up to me and told me that, I don't know what I would do. So then I'm like, why am I doing that to myself? you know. And it's crazy that these we go through these things. We put ourselves through these, man. Like it's just it sucks. It sucks that so many people have to get to that point, you know. And it's such a recurring theme that it's like, man, why don't we love ourselves?
Man, we had this guy was such a beautiful person, man.
Yeah.
His name was John. SWAT. He was ex Delta Force. All of this stuff, man. Like this guy was just
Cool guy, like definition, yeah.
I was like what 6 something, whatever, like that. Just a massive human.
Yeah.
And the guy, like, he had been living this lie of like every society is telling me that because I am this, I need to be this, I need to be good at this, I need to be doing all this. He got in front of that mirror, he couldn't even say that he loved himself. And he's like, man, he's like, I am all of this, but then I look at the mirror and I can't see that. Like I have all of these titles to my name, but then I look in the mirror and I don't see any love for myself. So it's like we can continue and fill our shelves with trophies and titles and everything like that. But like in many ways, it's like when you look at the mirror, are you really appreciating the things that you're doing, or are you doing that to mask something?
Yeah.
Are you doing all of these things so that everybody will look at, oh, he has it together, he is a SWAT dude, he's this, he's that, whatever like that. But really, at the end of the day, look at the mirror. You can't even tell. You can't even tell that person in the mirror that you love them.
So what's it for?
So what's it for?
Why?
Bro? Like all of those accomplishments that you've made are great, but then you look at the mirror and you're like, say one honest thing about yourself that you loved.
Can't do it.
You can't do it.
Can't do it.
So it's like, and I remember that, man. That dude. I used to go right after. I mean, it was a brutal program, bro.
Yeah.
We started off at 6:30 in the morning, and we would go all the way to 8:30 at night. Yeah, bro. It was brutal. But,
Man.
so after that, like they gave us some time, and we used to go to the gym. And I met John there one time, and we started talking. And this dude, like I said, 6 something, whatever like that, big old dude. This guy had a poet's soul inside him, bro. And he started talking, and he started telling me about this. I'm like, bro, you are an effing poet, bro. Like, do something with that.
Yeah.
Do something with that, dude. He like at the end of the day, he ended up. He said he was going to take up poetry. We wrote a song. I forgot the name of the program, but they had like these songwriters come in, and at the end, and we wrote a song for the whole the whole team, right? And I threw some lyrics in there, and this dude, he just had lyrics, just boom, boom, boom. And
Really?
Dude, he was awesome. So it's like a lot of the times it's like he had this hidden gift inside of him, but he couldn't expose it because it doesn't fit the norm of what a SWAT guy, ex Delta Force, whatever like that doesn't fit that norm. So it's like kind of like hide that a little bit, whatever like that. So he wasn't being true to himself.
So much power in being true to yourself.
Oh my god, man! That program, bro, it was life changing, dude. It was really, really life changing, man. Like I have you ever heard of a what are they called? I mean, now I'm losing my mind, man. But they basically warriors. You used to do it. They used to do it before. They had like this maze that they would go into, and they would basically leave before they went into battle. If they had fear, if they had anything like that, they would go into this maze, and in the center of the maze, they would basically it's called a labyrinth.
Okay.
Basically, they would leave their fears, their pains, whatever like that. So whenever they went into battle, they went clear-minded, and they could be able to go to war, whatever like that. So once they came back from war, they would do the same thing. They would do a labyrinth, and they would come back and leave what they saw at war. They would leave it in the labyrinth. The second labyrinth that we did, we had one of the guides there. His name was Big John, big Hispanic.
A lot of Johns.
Oh, but this guy was awesome, bro. He was this big old dude, man. But he had these hugs on him, bro. He was like a big old bear, bro. But before I started the labyrinth, the last one, he told me, he's like, Antonio, you have something big that you need to leave there, and I need you to do that. I need you to really lean into this. And I knew exactly what he meant. I went into the labyrinth. And basically, he wanted me to leave my broken child in there. So went into the labyrinth, walked out, and then you do some meditation. and then everybody goes through it and they do their meditations outside. And then this was different. We all come back to the labyrinth together and we grab a pack and we all pass it to each other. And that is to represent that your pack is empty and you can walk out of the labyrinth free of what you were holding back, right?
Oh, wow.
So I was the last one to walk out of the labyrinth, and I literally could see the child version of me sitting on the center of that labyrinth, looking up at me, reaching out to me.
Ugh.
And John, he was behind me, and he was just like, "You need to walk out, Antonio.
Yeah.
You need to walk out." And I'm like, I walked out of the labyrinth, and he was like, he's like, "You left your broken child behind, right?" And I was like, "Bro, like I can fucking see him. I can see him." And he's like, "You need to walk out." And I walked out. He gave me this huge hug, bro, ball like crazy and everything like that. But these are some of the things that we have put in front of us that we can't get past, right? And it's like, we need to get past those things. You can't be free and have a weight on your pack and say you're free. You're not free, bro. You are being held down by so much that you've never wanted to unpack. So how are you free? Like you're not, bro. You're carrying the entire world on your back right now, and you're trying to say that you're okay. You can barely walk.
Yeah.
So how are you free, man?
Yeah. Show me how you're okay.
There is no way.
No.
If you've never unpacked what you've put in that pack every single time, you've gone on a call, you've lost loved ones, you got a divorce because of your job, you're drinking, all of these things, whatever like that. You grab all of that shit and you go back to your training, you shove it in your back. When are you going to unpack that? You can't even walk, bro. Like physically, you can't even walk.
Yeah.
So how, like, when is that time? When is the time that you're going to take that? And a lot of the times, our guys wait until it's too late.
Yeah.
Until they lost their family, they lost loved ones, they become an alcoholic, they all this crap, whatever like that. Then they want to start. Let's get ahead of the problem before that.
You know what's crazy too, man? Like,
be proactive.
Yeah. Let's try and attack it from the way. But the craziest thing too, man, is again like getting to that point. Like it takes. I wish it never took that long to get to that point.
Yeah.
Of that late point of realization, because like you said, sometimes wait forever until they're too late. And a lot of people say, "Well, I'm waiting until the time is right." The time's never going to feel right. You're never going to be ready.
Right now.
Yeah, you're never going to be ready.
Yeah.
I say that it's like having kids, right? Like this hospital just let me go home with a human, right? And I'm like, I'm not ready for this, right? And you never think you're ready. And if you're waiting for that feeling, dude, you're never going to find it.
You're never going to.
Never going to find it.
And how you start is you change the culture, bro.
Yeah.
You change the culture. You change how mental health is being talked about in departments. You change the way guys are reaching out to each other, not just to go get a six pack, but like, hey, let's unpack this shit.
Yeah.
You know, we have to look at how we're approaching this. If it's beneficial, or are we leading our guys astray, bro? Are we pushing them further into the abyss, or are we actually being proactive and trying to help their mental health? If we're not doing something that is being proactive towards them so that they can be better, not just right now, but in the future, right? Like we want families to stay together, bro. How can we do that? Yeah. How can we keep families together? Let's get off of this whole bullshit, man. Like, let's be proactive in trying to help our dudes, man.
I couldn't agree more. Seriously, I couldn't agree more. I think it's such a good. It's something that's not being said enough.
Yeah.
In today's culture, there's so many guys who are. You might be 2 or 3 steps ahead of them in your journey, right? What advice would you give to someone who's just starting that journey, maybe where you were when you decided, hey, I need to make a change, I'm going to do it? What advice would you give?
Two things. One, be honest with yourself. Like, be brutally honest with yourself. Second would be continue. There's going to be stages in this process, bro. There's going to be days where it feels like you haven't made any gains, right? It's the whole concept of like going to the gym, right? People go to the gym and it's just like, you know, I lost 5 pounds, but then all of a sudden now I have plateaued. There's going to be stages where you're going to hit the wall, and it's not going to be pretty. But it's getting past those things. We look at the concept of a storm, right? And that whole thing of like, what is it, a buffalo? they run to the storm, and because that's the easiest way to get out of the storm. You don't run away from the storm because the storm will always catch up to you. You will get tired and you will stop running, and that storm will come and it will sit on top of you. To get past the storms, you got to continue to run through it. It's gonna suck.
Yeah.
It's going to suck. You're gonna hit layers. You're gonna hit areas that are gonna be hard. But the thing about it, the thing you get out of it is so much more impactful than it is to be running away from. Last thing that I would give is find a church, bro. Find a church.
Yeah.
I gave my life to God about 6 months ago. And we talk about finding clarity, finding, relief, finding all of these things. I went through therapy, I went through all these retreats, I went through hyperbaric chamber therapy, I went through all of these. It's trying to solve this right here. But this wasn't the problem. This and this were not connected. My mind and my heart were not connected. And where you find that is when you allow God into your lives. And I want to get all biblical here, but the thing about it is when you allow God into your life, everything that you have been searching to get into those crevices, those cracks that have been into your armor, God will fill. God loves you, bro. Like, God loved you from the beginning. He knows every single hair on your head, everything that you've been running away from. He knows. Bring it to his feet, bro. Lay it all there, and he will solve everything. All of this hurt that you have inside of you, he will solve it, bro.
That's so cool, man. I love that. I love that you talk openly about that too.
Yeah,
because a lot of people are afraid to.
I'm not, man. I baptize most beautifulest thing I've done. Yeah. I baptize my wife, my goddaughter, and my littlest daughter.
That's cool, man. That's so cool.
And my wife, when I held her head above the water, man, I talked about this in another podcast. It was like we went into this life as husband and wife. We went into our lives as father and mother to our children. And now we're taking this step into this as God's children.
That's awesome.
The thing of what God has done into my life is that everything that I was searching for, he was right there. And he gave me everything. The answers are not found in all of these at surface things in the world. They're found at the feet of God.
Well, here's the thing too, man. I love that the way that you explained it, because there's so many people who, like, you're a very real guy. Yeah. Right. And I've noticed that, like, a lot of times, when that topic comes up, a lot of people are like, they tend to dismiss it because they're like, oh, fairy tale this, but you're like, no, like, it's not about that. It's not about that. And you're a very real guy who's experienced these things. And again, you being vulnerable.
Yeah.
And allowing people who are like, maybe they have questions or whatever, they see where you're at. And it's like, oh man, like, I was feeling that way too. Well, maybe if he felt that way, I kind of feel that way. Maybe I can hit him up. Maybe I can talk to him.
Yeah.
And that's so important. It's a skill, not even a skill. It's just something, a character trait of yours that it goes beyond what you might recognize as being important. Because again, your vulnerability, man, that you allow yourself to have, allows conversations like that to take place.
I say this in many ways. My relationship with God was how do I say this? At the beginning, I blamed him for so many things, right? Yeah. I blamed him for my family. I blamed him for all the things that happened. I blamed him for all of these things. As a child, I was church hurt. All of these things, right?
Yeah.
But the thing about it is I was putting God in the bubble of all of these things of what the world was doing, right? And I was saying, why are you doing this to me? And now what I've realized is that, why I'm saying that is that what I've realized is that all of these things that happen were not they were happening to me like, hey, let's just punish Antonio. Yeah. Let's just punish him more, blah, 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 all these things. All of that were for a reason. Because he gave me the whole. This is just a cup, right? Yeah. It's just a cup. Yeah. What makes it a cup and what makes it valuable to anybody is what you put inside the cup, right? It's what it could do. God just wanted to come into my life. That is what he wanted to do. All of these things that happened to me are part of my story. He was just trying to drive me back to him. He wants me to live the life that he made for me. And a lot of us run away from that. We all run away from that. When I was telling you about, this was not the problem. It was the connection between my mind and my heart. What God does is he connects that for you. Then you find your purpose. Then you find your mission. Then you find what you're supposed to be doing. And when you know you're that, bro, you get on this road that just feels as if it's the true road, because you know that God has placed you on this road. That makes sense?
It does, man. It makes a lot of sense. And I think that not only does it make sense to me, I think it might help put things into perspective for other people as well, which is incredible. Because I don't always have the words for it. Yeah. So thank you for that. What is an unexpected win that you've had since you started doing these things and helping these guys? You're just like, man, this has been such a cool part of the experience that I never saw.
Man, I just, at the end of it, it's nothing that you can measure on money or anything like that. It's just a different conversation, man. Like, I feel that I can be a part of this new conversation when it comes to mental health, when it comes to police officers, first responders, and veterans. I would say that a win for me is just being a part of that conversation. Having people reach out to me and asking me like, hey, what type of program? Hey, what do you think about this? Like, we're God willing, we're going to start a pilot with our app with First Responder Wellness. It's an inpatient care facility out of California. That's a win for me, bro. Yeah. If I can be able to get our app into the hands of first responders while they're going to inpatient, if I can get our app there and help them get out of, once they get out of inpatient, be able to have a tool that they can utilize after they get out. So maybe we can lower those statistics of reoccurring, of going back into drinking or going back into these things. If I can help that, that's a win, bro.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I know exactly what you're saying. And you kind of answered my next question that I was going to ask you is, what's next for you?
Well, so we're right now, and this is like literally 2 days ago that we started this.
Yeah.
I am going to start a peer network for our nonprofit, and we're going to start utilizing the app in our nonprofit. Yes. So anybody that comes in to our nonprofit will have access to peer support and will have access to our app. So our app utilizes biometric information to provide real-time information on that user. That information is shared with your peer support and with your therapist. The biometric information that we utilize is your sleep, your mood, your workout, and basically your goals. And that is extracted from wearable devices. So we have Apple. We're gonna have Apple and Android.
You got the Aura Ring.
Well, that's where we're going to the Aura Ring. So the next, those are some of the things that we're working so that we can start this pilot with First Responder Wellness. So we need to get on Aura Ring, Garmin, Fitbit, and Whoop. So once we get all of those, whatever like that, we'll start it. But so the thing is like, I want to provide a more robust system. So providing therapy is great, but how can I help? How can I ensure that these guys that are going to therapy, like, have access to somebody while they're not in therapy? So that would be access through peer support, and that would be actually utilizing the biometric information so they can have real-time information about themselves, like how they're sleeping, all of these things. So it's like, that is a new thing that we're adding. And if any of your viewers want to look into like becoming a peer support for us, reach out to us.
Absolutely.
It is really starting up like right now. So like I said, 2 days ago, we started talking about this.
Yeah.
I look at the system and I'm like, what else can we do to be able to make this help our guys even further? And having a more robust system where we can be able to ensure that these guys are reaching out to their peer support, all of that can really ensure that we are providing quality care to our guys.
1000%. That's such a cool thing that you do. Like, it's just, there's so many programs that are out there that don't have the capabilities. Maybe they're not as robust as they need to be. So the fact that you're even considering developing that, and the fact that you're looking for cracks in the system, you're filling the cracks with what needs to be filled in, is good. And it's not just like fluff and like, let me just throw some stuff in here and make it look like the practice field.
No, bro.
You're trying to attack it from every single angle, and it's super important.
I mean, you I don't know if you were okay with me saying this, but I mean, you utilized our services.
1000%. I did utilize your services, and I still do utilize your services. It's phenomenal. It's like I said, it was a lifesaver, man.
And how long did it take for you to get into it?
Dude, it was super quick. It was immediate. It was immediate. So.
And it wasn't that you went. I think you were in Disney at that time,
Yeah.
like that. If it wasn't you went to Disney, you would have been right
with my kids. By the way, it wasn't just me. I'm not a Disney adult.
But I mean, if it wasn't that, you went out of town, you would have been right away.
Exactly. That was my own fault. And like the service is quick. The guys are great. My therapist is awesome. And like, you already have such a robust system. So the fact that you're still looking to improve, it says a lot about not only that you're not just content with what the status quo is, but that you're consistently trying to improve.
It's one thing about providing a service. It's another. It's like, how can I better that service? And the thing about it is, we have so many cracks within the system. So how can I fill those gaps? How can I provide a system that is ensuring that these guys don't fall through the cracks? And like we have so many barriers of why our guys don't want to reach out and ask for help, right? So I was like, how can I fill those barriers with a solution, right? How can I and make these guys feel comfortable in coming and getting help? Like, it's a process, bro. How many times are you in therapy? Maybe once, twice a month, whatever like that. How can I ensure that you are still getting proper help through that time? If you are going through something, you don't have to wait for your therapist. You can reach out to your peer support, reach out to them, make sure they're okay, and make sure you're okay. But the thing about it is that, how can we interconnect all of these individuals into a way that provides better treatment for you? So all of these individuals are interconnected. So your peer support is connected to your therapist, therapist connected to your peer support. So if you say something to your therapist or whatever like that, you can relay the information to your peer support. They can reach out to you. It's just ensuring that nobody falls through the freaking cracks, man. And I'll just close with this. We have a robust journal entry system in our app. We have 250,000 suicidal phrases have been embedded within our journal entries, right? So basically, an individual will start typing into their journal entries, whatever like that, and if it picks up one of those suicidal phrases, little dark phrases, it will actually send a prompt and basically ask you, hey, do you need to talk to your peer support, blah, 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 whatever. But at the same time that it sends you that prompt, it sends a prompt to your peer support, hey, you might want to reach out to Trevor. It doesn't give them a copy of what you just wrote. It doesn't give them at all. It just says, hey, you might want to reach out to Trevor. Check in on him. And that's it. So we put all of this system that will make it a more proactive approach to getting into mental health. Because sometimes all you really need is somebody to talk to, bro. And maybe that will solve the issue of taking that last step. I see you have one of our guys on the top right there.
I do.
And there's a feature in there that I created just for him. Because his story really impacted me. I didn't know him. I just knew of him because of his wife and because of what happened. And to me, it's like, how can I solve that? How can I prevent for something like that to happen? I'm not saying that I'm gonna solve everything, but at least if I know that I'm doing something to solve that issue.
You're trying.
I'm trying, bro. I'm not staying just at the bare minimum or what society says, hey, this is the way that we approach this. Like, fuck that, man. That's the line. I'm gonna go past that line and I'm gonna try to create something that I know for me, I'm gonna feel like, hey, I did something past that line to be able to solve a problem.
In all seriousness though, man, like there's not very many people who are thinking about those kind of things as well. Like, based on these experiences, like, hey, this happened in this scenario. What could have helped that scenario? What could have helped at that exact moment? And you're putting these things into the app, and it's incredible, man. You're doing.
And what you're saying right there, you have to learn from mistakes. You have to learn from what happened. Okay, where are our faults here? What did we do here for him to fall through the cracks?
An AAR.
We have so many of that, and you have so many. Especially here in San Antonio, we have so many of those experiences that you can look at them and say, where did we go wrong here? How could we have solved this? We have had such a large amount of suicides in our area. What are we doing? What can we do to fix that?
What are we doing and what aren't we doing?
Yes. And how can we better it? Right? Sometimes we have to go past that line of normacy of what everybody says. This is the way that we do it. Sometimes you gotta cross over that shit. If you want to solve a problem, you have to look at it outside the box. Not stay in the box. In the box is where you're seeing your numbers continue to go up. You need to get outside of it and look at it through a different perspective.
Your box is no longer safe.
Yes, your box is never. It's not safe, man. If your officers are doing that, if your officers do not feel heard, if your morale is going down within your units, all of this stuff, what are y'all doing that is causing that? And it is a you problem. It's not an everybody else problem. It's a you problem. Now, how can you look at it and really reflect? Look at the situation without having your own fear or your own like, oh, well, if I do this, blah, 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 like, maybe we're going to look wrong. Like, bro, you already look bad. You already look bad, right? I mean, there's so many departments that are having these issues that are internalizing themselves, not in a way that's really, they're not truthfully reflecting on what it needs to be needs to be done.
Right.
They're just doing it at surface so that they can just
check a box.
Check a box. Like, oh, we did this. Boom. That's it. Mm-hmm. No, bro. You need to really look at this and in a different perspective to really get to the issue.
I'm glad you recognize that. And I'm sure that there's probably several other people who are listening to this who are very glad that someone else can see that.
There's so many of us out there, bro. Like, there's another nonprofit in, man, I love this dude. I forgot his name, but he runs the Overwatch Collective in California. It's another nonprofit that provides free mental health services. That guy,
they're good.
Oh, he's an amazing dude, bro. He's a really amazing. He actually got started at the same time we did. But the thing about it, there's so many of us out there that are doing, like Travis Mills, all these people. But the thing about it is, I don't know if you saw the secretary of the VA. He was on the podcast, and I forgot his name on the podcast, whatever that. But he said, he's like, why is it's the veterans or it's all of these people who have suffered are the ones that are creating these nonprofits to fix the issue. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Why should they be the ones?
Why should they be the ones that are solving the problem? Mm-hmm. Like, why can't y'all just look at the issue and be like, dude, we have a problem. We got a problem here. We need to fix it.
I know, man. It's the answer seems obvious, but the actual application is just, it doesn't happen.
It's bureaucracy, bro. It's all of these red tapes. It's all of these things that it's like, the red tape is what's causing the problem.
Yeah.
The red tape is what's causing so many people to lose their lives. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we need to get past that red tape, bro,
100%.
and just solve the problem.
I wish people saw it that way. Dude, Antonio, where can people go and support you and support what you're doing?
So our website is frontlinestrong.org. We're also on TikTok. We're also on Instagram. Man, but it's just, to me, I say, if any of y'all feel out there that y'all feel compelled to want to help our mission, monetarily, that's always great. We have events coming up and stuff like that. If anybody wants to volunteer to help out with those things. But at the end of the day, man, it's all I'm trying to do is fill a void of a problem that's out there, man.
Yeah.
That our guys are facing every single day, man. So that's our mission. That's our only mission. Mm-hmm. And so those are the areas you can find us at.
Well, look, man, a couple of things. One, you're such a good dude, man, and I'm so thankful, and honored, honestly, to call you a friend of mine. The things that you're doing for the community, the things that you've done, the things that you speak about, it means a lot, man.
Appreciate that, bro.
In today's day and age, man, there's so few people who are doing that. So few people who are really trying to actually get something done and who care about something other than just themselves. Yeah. You've created something that is revolutionary. You've created something and taken the initiative to start something that goes well beyond, I think, the reach that you realize it has, man. You've inspired people to do so many good things. Your heart is behind it, man. You have a good head on your shoulders, man. You got beautiful kids. Your wife is awesome, man. Like, you are awesome. You are an awesome dude, and there's more people that need to be made aware of the things that you're doing. Dude, thank you so much for coming on. I know you didn't have to be here today, so the fact that you decided to come here, I'm honored by it. Thank you.
No, thank you, brother. Much. Thank you. And I just want to say for your viewers, just be on the lookout for Wellness and Power. That's the application that we created. Next few months, we're going to roll out to everybody, to general population, and I just really think that this is really going to solve a problem that we're facing. If y'all go on YouTube, you can find our podcast. We do one every 2 weeks, a new episode. But your words really mean a lot to me, brother, because it's like, sometimes it's like you feel like you're going in through this by yourself, and even though I don't care, but sometimes it's like, I wonder if people really can see the impact that we're doing here. I wonder if, all of these kind of things where like sometimes you feel like you're kind of marching by yourself. Yeah. But thank you for that, brother.
We see you.
I appreciate it.
Not just me. Dude, thank you so much. You're the man. Love you.
Love you too, brother.
And that's a wrap. Hey, like, and subscribe. This episode will come out. The recipe for these asada tacos will be out next week. Episode 6 done.
Yeah.
Well, what'd you think?
Good, brother. What'd you think?
I thought you did phenomenal.